Hi everyone. In this video, I want to talk about the statuses that you can have in GLPI. This is a question that I've gotten a few times because some systems you can customize the statuses that your tickets go through. In GLPI, you can't customize those statuses, but there's a very specific reason, actually several reasons why that is. And I want to go through those in this video. Uh, if you have any other questions about statuses and GLPI in general, take a look at some of the links down in the description below. We have a Discord server where we do support and answer questions for all of you. And we also have a weekly users group where you can come show up if you have time, if you have questions. And this is actually an opportunity for you to ask your peers, not just us, for help or if you have questions, or you can even ask how other people are using GLPI or some of our other products. Again, you can find links to both of those down in the video description. Now, GLPI has six statuses. And I actually have some slides here. I have to give a shout out to Tickle in Spain. They're a GLPI partner in Spain. I have yet to find a better set of diagrams than the ones that they've put together. So thank you to them. But let me share my screen and we'll show you. This slide is going to be hard to read on the screen, so I'm going to walk you through it. And the other one is a little bit easier to see, but we'll get there in just a second. So these are the six statuses. You have new, you have processing assigned. That's what processing A is. Processing planned, pending, solved, and closed. And of course, if you're using GLPI in a different language, these might have slightly different names, but the concepts are still the same. Basically, new is unsurprisingly it's the status that tickets go into when they are brand new, when they are created, but they are not yet assigned to an agent or a technician. And basically, brand new ticket. I will note that if a technician creates a ticket, it skips over the new status and goes straight to processing assigned because, and this is a good segue into processing assigned. It assumes that the technician that created the ticket is the assignee. So that's basically the transition between new and processing assigned is when the ticket gets assigned, it goes into assigned. Now, processing planned is it's still basically the processing state, even though it's a separate status. But this is an indicator that there are scheduled tasks. So if you add a task and you put a schedule on it, it automatically puts it into the processing planned state. Um, and a lot of this automated stuff is why the states are kind of hard coded, or the statuses are kind of hard coded into GLPI. I previously worked on Cherwell. Cherwell was totally customizable, and all of the automations where X should happen when you go into Y state was an absolute nightmare to keep straight, just because you could totally customize everything. Um, and similarly, we'll talk about SLAs in a minute. The SLA calculation and when the SLA should start and be paused and stop and so on was just super complicated. So by having hard-coded statuses like this, some of this automation, these automatic transitions, automatic SLA calculations can be a lot more straightforward. Right, so that's processing plan. So if you have a scheduled task, it goes into processing plan. If you're waiting on something else, it goes into pending. And this isn't really automatic. There is a switch, which I'll show you in a second, uh, where you can specifically choose to put it into the pending status and optionally set a pending reason. We'll talk more about that in just a second as well. Then, of course, you have solved, and this is, uh, here's a proposed solution. The SLA stops until there's either a decision that yes, this did in fact solve the issue, in which case the ticket just goes to closed, or if the solution didn't actually solve the issue, then the SLA starts up again because it on a response it automatically goes back into processing assigned, and we can actually see that on this next slide here. So this is kind of the flowchart view of of the six statuses. And I'll hide my face for a second. Um, just so you can see what those last two statuses, kind of the significance of them are, is proposed solution and the solution is accepted, right? So this is basically what I said. Uh, Everything starts out in the new status, then it transitions to processing assigned when someone gets assigned to it. Processing planned, maybe not all tickets will go through this status, depending on whether there's a scheduled task. And then potentially pending, if you need feedback from a customer. In our GLPI instance, we have a pending reason for waiting on development, either because there's code that needs to be written to fix a bug, or uh, it's a bigger question. We just need to dive into the code to figure out what the problem is. And then, of course, solved and closed. Uh, if it goes into the solved state and it turns out that didn't resolve the issue, of course, it can go back into processing assigned. When uh, it goes into the pending state, this says specifically request your answer. But in the case of, when we send it to development, we might actually manually pull it back from pending and put it into processing. Now, the significance of some of these groups of statuses, obviously, you can see this green box here, SLA is not affected, or the SLA is stopped. So when things are in processing, the SLA is running. If you have an SLA of, an hour or a day or whatever, any amount of time that the ticket spends in these statuses counts against that SLA. As soon as it goes into pending, that's paused. And so, if you're waiting on feedback from the customer for a day, 2 days, 3 days, you're not going to breach the SLA because that's not counted against processing time, against handling time. Similarly, if you're using um, the SLA um, guidelines, benchmarks, time to own and time to resolve, um, obviously time to own is from when it goes from new to there's an actual owner, and then time to resolve is from the beginning all the way to when there's a solution, and then obviously it's paused in that state. If it gets if that wasn't actually a solution, then the SLA continues to run, and that continues to get computed in the time to resolve for this ticket. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like in GLPI. So here is my demo GLPI system. This is 10.0.18. 10.0.19 just came out, but I haven't upgraded the system yet. That being said, I don't think there's much variation between the two versions on this particular screen. So this is just a demo ticket that I've created. And of course, you see the statuses down here. This actually was one I created through the interface here. So it automatically assigned me. I'm the requester, and I'm also the assigned to. So the status is automatically in processing assigned. It kind of skipped over new, automatically went to processing assigned, which I guess means the time to own is 0. Doesn't matter the units, it's just 0 because I entered it between the time it was reported and the time it was assigned. It was the same transaction. So time to own is 0. But now it is, if I had an SLA on this ticket, which I don't, um, time to own, time to resolve, I don't have any of that. Um, but if I did, this would be counting against those SLAs. Um, if I put it into the pending status, obviously that would pause the SLA. Uh, but typically you won't be using this drop down directly. Oh, and I realized it's behind my face. So let's try that again. So here's the drop down. So you can see processing planned, pending, solved, closed. Um, Typically you won't actually be using this drop down directly. You'll be uh, kind of using the automated processes built into GLPI. So for instance, if I created a task and added a schedule on it, which is, I believe this guy, that's duration. Nope. Uh, Here we go. If I pick a date, this interface got cleaned up a little bit in GLPI 11, which is where I've been spending a lot of my time lately. Um, so if I pick let's say Monday, for whatever reason, this task isn't going to happen until Monday. This would put it into the processing uh, planned status, right? The SLA would continue to run because the issue hasn't been solved yet. Um, but what I really want to show you is the pending, pending statuses. So you can actually do it on a task. You can set the status to pending. You can also set it to pending on just a general follow-up, and possibly from the others as well. But you set the status to pending, um, and I don't actually have any pending reasons set up. But if I did, I could choose a pending reason. There would be a drop down right here, and I can actually pick the reason that it's pending. So in my case, for our internal system, we have waiting on the customer. We have waiting on development. I think I also added a few others. Um, but in general, if you find yourself effectively needing additional statuses, typically the right way to go about doing that is to add pending reasons. The way you add those is set up drop downs. Yeah, I don't need to save those changes. I'll just go here and look for pending reasons. Pending reasons can be set. This little icon indicates that it can be set either at the root level or at a particular entity. So if you want to have a specific pending reason for your HR group, maybe you're waiting on legal or something like that, that only matters within the HR group. You can add that pending reason specifically to the HR entity. But I'm just going to go straight in and just show the global level. Let's go ahead and add a pending reason of, let's see, waiting on development, right? There are some other things that go on here that definitely deserve their own video as far as pending reasons because they can trigger automatic rules and automations as well. I'm just going to add the reason. My recommendation would be to start simple, just add the reasons first, and then start building automations on top of them once you have determined that you have the reasons and kind of your statuses and your workflows set up. This might be before you actually go live with GLPI and people are using it, but just kind of as a stepping stone, start with the simple stuff and gradually add more complexity. So let's go back to tickets and we'll pull up that ticket, say answer, and set status to pending. And now I get a pending reason drop down. And I can say waiting on development. This screen is kind of tiny, so those drop downs don't look very good. Um, Basically, I have automatic follow-up and automatic resolution disabled. You can actually set these if it goes into pending and it just stays in pending for a while, it can automatically be resolved, or it can automatically follow up with the customer. In this case, waiting on development, this isn't a customer-facing pending reason, so I wouldn't want to have that anyway. And this is actually something that can be set from that other screen that we just came from. So, in a nutshell, that is statuses in GLPI. And if you want to customize the workflow, how to do that with pending reasons and also how to customize pending reasons. If you have any other questions about any of this, go ahead and leave a comment down below or come visit us in Discord or at the Synapse Software Users Group. Again, every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Links to all of that is down in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.